Hello and welcome to the RPG Maker tier list. My name's Yorkshire Pud, and for those of you out there that are new, where you been? You're late, but it's okay, I forgive you. But there is one thing I don't forgive, and that's a bad game. And believe me, we have a few on this list here today. So for those of you who are new, I've recently been playing games made by the major movers and shakers of the RPG Maker world, the ones that are most active on Discord and on YouTube, particularly those who play test and criticise other people's work. So I thought it was only fair that we turn the spotlight on them and have a good old look at their work. So grab yourself a cup of tea, stop fiddling with your joystick, and let me take you on a journey of discovery and wonder. Now, I'm going to give you all a warning right now. If you do see yourself on this list down below, you might not want to watch this video, because I am going to be very honest. One of the things I've always hated is when you have people who review bad games, but will still give them a 50 or a 60 out of 100, when it should be a 0 out of 100. So I am going to be quite honest with these ratings, and I'm not going to hold back that much, which means a lot of people are going to be pissed off with me, and I'm probably going to get banned from a few Discord servers at the end of it. But hey, it's okay, because you guys are worth it. So first of all, let me introduce to you the tier list. We have S, A, B, C, D, E and F. I'm sure you've all seen this kind of thing before, and I'm going to be judging people in 5 categories. We have writing, gameplay, graphics, audio, and the very last category is X Factor. Now this is where I might be getting a wee bit personal, because we're going to be looking at the game creators themselves, how they behave and act on social media, and their impact overall on the RPG Maker community, how they market themselves, how they network. This all falls under the umbrella of X Factor, as I don't really believe in separating the art from the artist, as the individual is a part of the work that they create. So, as you can see, we do have 5 categories in total, and you can score a maximum of 11 points in each. Why 11? Because 11's one higher than 10, of course. Apart from one category, that is, there is one here that is more important than the others, and it's not the writing, it's the gameplay. This is the most important part of any game, because at the end of the day, it's all about the game. I know some of you out there might disagree with me and think that writing is the most important part of a game, but it isn't. Just look at the best-selling games ever made. Minecraft, Tetris, Wii Sports, Call of Duty, Fortnite, PUBG, Roblox, Pokemon, any fighting game, any racing game, Candy Crush Saga, Among Us, The Sims, Asteroids, Space Invaders, Pac-Man, Mario, Sonic, RuneScape, Diablo 2, Club Penguin, Nintendogs, FIFA 10 million, John Madden 10 million and 1. What do all these games have in common? These games don't really have much of a storyline going on, but they're fun as fuck to play, and also the biggest selling games of all time. So for your gameplay, you can score double bubble. You can score a maximum of 22 points, which means in total you can score a maximum of 66 points. But spoiler alert, only one person on this list has managed to achieve that. Why don't you have a quick look now and place your bets who you think that might be? So without further ado, let's get started. The first game we're going to be looking at is RosenHearts by Studio Blue, a husband and wife team, Steel and Teal.
Hello everyone, I'm Steel.
And I'm Teal.
The game starts with a disclaimer, kind of apologising for the game we're about to play and giving us excuses about the writing. Yeah, this is not a good first impression, and I have to say, it is quite concerning, but my concerns were short-lived. Even though I was told this game was going to be quite verbose, I didn't find this to be the case. But just a tip for you all out there, never start your game with a disclaimer like this. I'm not sure what these guys were thinking, to be honest with you, but have confidence and take pride with what you've written. RosenHearts is based on the famous story Around the World in 80 Days, written by one of the greatest authors of all time, Jackie Chan. The title is quite nice and fits with the overall theme. It's unique and it's the first thing that pops up when I search for it in Google, so very well done for that, 10 out of 10. We start by taking control of our protagonist, who is not actually Phileas Fogg or Jackie Chan, but instead a girl called Victoria, who is travelling with him and is also travelling with her sister Naomi, who have mysteriously crash landed in the Black Forest. Ooh, spooky. And they're trying to get back home. Or are we trying to travel the world in 80 days and we only made it to Germany? I'm I'm not sure exactly, and this is one of the problems with the writing. I'm not sure what our overall objective is. I don't know where we came from, I'm not sure where we're going or why. Are we travelling the world in 80 days, or is this something that happens later on? I'm not sure. Instead, we have these flashbacks about a murder and tomato soup, and oh boy, do we like to talk about tomato soup in this game. The main reason we seem to be having these flashbacks is to introduce to us, the player, a map that's been stolen. But personally, I'm not a big fan of flashbacks, be it in film, computer games or TV shows, as I like to go forwards, not backwards. I don't mind them now and again if they're short and they add something, but as a general rule of thumb, I don't particularly like them. We then meet a fairy who's been attacked by gnomes, and of course we save the day, and after another flashback, we kind of get to the end of the game. Oh, apart from it's not really the end of the game, we then have another flashback where we start talking to a blind angel who tells us that our mother was a fairy and how as sisters we kind of linked together, and quite possibly Naomi's a zombie. But it's alright, she likes chocolate more than brains, so that's okay. And then we decide to travel to a castle in Germany, I think maybe looking for the map in our flashback, and that is the end of the demo. I am left a little bit confused why or how this is based on Jules Verne's story. Apart from having a character called Phileas Fogg, I don't really see any connection at all. Oh, there was a hot air balloon, so there's that. I do feel more attention could have been given to the overall storyline, and one of the problems we do actually have is there's no antagonist, which is very strange. At the start it would have been nice to see what actually happened to our hot air balloon. Did it get shot down? Was it an accident? Did we get hit by lightning? Or was it the work of the evil Professor Moriarty and the English government? Who knows? It never gets talked about. Instead we get history lessons that are sprinkled throughout this game and flashbacks about tomato soup. The writing for the most part is okay, the relationship between the characters were fine, but to be honest, it may be a little bit bland. There wasn't anything special there. The three characters did feel a little goody-goody, a bit PG, and teenage girls can often be quite vicious, and sisters in particular can be incredibly nasty and evil to each other. So I would like to have had a bit more passion. The relationships did feel a little bit blasé, a little monotonal. It felt like you were playing it safe. For example, it would have been a lot better if you would have Victoria, who was a lot more into fashion and makeup, beauty, being prim and proper, polite, with good manners, aspiring to become a lady of refinement. And then we have the other character, Nicole, Naomi, whatever she's called, who is more of a tomboy, who openly rejects the social expectations placed on middle-class girls in Victoria, England. She doesn't always remember to say please and thank you. She's afraid to do and say things that society deems unsuitable for women at that time. And then together, Victoria and Naomi can embody a yin and yang type of dynamic, representing the two contrasting mindsets that was around at the time. And as they grow together, they learn from each other, and they begin to realise that neither extreme is ideal. Perhaps the answer lies somewhere in the middle. And this would have made the relationship a lot more interesting, and would have been a great way to add a bit of spice to the dialogue. Overall, I give the writing for this game a 7 out of 11. There's a lot of things in place here that works well, and I think with just some light editing and a few little rewrites here and there, the writing could easily reach 9, maybe even a 10 out of 11. The gameplay in RosenHearts is nothing to write home about. The combat does have a unique mechanic where you can inflict different statuses to enemies like Skyward and Grounded, but it didn't really add to the fun of the combat. It was just something extra to remember, and it felt a little bit shoved in, a bit shoehorned. It seemed like you were trying to add strategy and depth to the combat, but it really didn't do anything for me. Unfortunately, there isn't really any other gameplay in this game. Yes, you could explore a little bit, but apart from that, there wasn't any puzzles or anything else to get stuck into. Although we did have these flashbacks regarding a murder, but we didn't get to actually control the characters. We weren't solving the murder ourselves, looking for clues, going to the basement, pushing things around, and it would have been quite fun to play detective. So as the combat was quite basic and there was no other game mechanics in this game, overall your gameplay gets 8 out of 22. There's a lot more that could have been done here, particularly us being more involved in the murder mystery. This one is quite a mixed bag. There are a few default tile sets in this game, which I don't have a problem with, they were used very well, and there's also some quite unique tile sets in this game, which I absolutely love, particularly this fairy house. I think that looks magical, that looks great, I really, really love that. The busts that you have also look very professional and very well done. The inventory screen looked great. Maybe a few too many red roses for my liking and not enough white roses for my taste, but then again, I would say that. The only negatives really is the fact that we didn't have any other facial expressions or any other poses with your busts. And really, the big issue that I had, and this is quite unforgivable now, is the size of the enemies. Just look at them, look at these fuckers, they are massive. I'm a mouse compared to these. This fucker right here could swallow me whole. He doesn't even have to chew. It's not even funny how big these are compared to me. If we were little people in this world, then fine, but I don't think we are. I think we are meant to be, you know, human-sized human beings. So I find this incredibly jarring and, to be honest, unacceptable. The other issue is that there isn't much variety of enemies. Here's a snake, here's a wolf, here's a gnome, and I think that's all the enemies you'll ever see in this 2-hour demo. Yeah, there's not much here to see, is there? You could have maybe changed the hue a little bit on some of them, maybe give them a different colour hat or give them something else, but overall it did feel a little generic and a bit boring. Talking about generic monsters though, you are kind of missing one that you should have actually had in your game. I'm talking about your mascots. Where's the slime? I can't believe I'm playing a Studio Blue game and there's no blue slime in it. What were you thinking? Overall, I'll give you a 6 out of 11 for your graphics. Definitely room for improvement. The music throughout this game was very good. Every track I could tell was carefully picked and fitted with the theme. It was really nice and felt quite magical at times. I really did like the music in this game. The sound effects on the other hand were largely default, so you could definitely go back and change those out, but overall the audio was good. You could maybe do with a few more tracks in this game, as it did feel like I was listening to the same piece of music over and over again, but it was a nice piece of music to listen to, so I didn't mind too much. Overall, for your audio, 8 out of 11. Studio Blue has made and reviewed over 100 RPG Maker games and have also made some excellent videos about character development and world building and things like colour theory, whatever the fuck that is. Maybe I should go and watch that one. They always give good advice and critiques of games and are very well respected. They have given so much back to the RPG Maker community that I'll easily give them a 10 out of 11 for their X Factor. The reason I don't score them 11 out of 11 is because some of the videos can have sound issues and the tutorials and game development classes are lacking editing. Quite often, it's just them standing behind a podium and it's not very visually appealing. It's not interesting to look at. They would be massively improved if you just add some basic visuals to these. Just some basic PowerPoint presentation would go a long way. I think this is the main reason a lot of your videos don't have as many views as they should have achieved, because it's just so boring to look at. I know you've now kind of changed it up and you have these 3D avatar things, but I don't know. They don't do much for me at all. Steel's doesn't look too bad, but Teal's, it looks quite basic and it looks like something I could draw in Microsoft Paint. I would probably advise you guys to go back to these videos, give them a bit of editing, give them a bit of love, because the stuff you're talking about is great and there is some real gold here, but it's just let down by the lack of visuals. It's boring to look at. Now, Studio Blue no longer makes RPG Maker videos. They retired quite a while ago. I'm not sure why, to be honest. For me, they were always one of the best RPG Maker content creators out there, and I thoroughly enjoyed watching their videos. So in my opinion, it's a real shame that they've stopped. They've now moved on to other things, mainly playing virtual reality games on Twitch, but I have no real interest in that. It's not why I subscribe to the channel, so I don't really end up watching it. They also do AMAs now. That was quite fun for the first couple of months. You could ask them questions about anything at all, about games, about writing, about ideas that you might have, but we're now at a point where all the questions have been asked, and we're just left with really weird questions like, what's your favourite pizza topping, and what Pokemon do you want to have sex with?
I would smash Jigglypuff. Wow.
I think for me, it would have to be Glade.
Yeah, it's really, really weird now, and it kind of feels like they've lost the way a little bit. What I would love would be to watch you guys play some classic games that you got brought up with and talk about them while you're playing them. That would be great to watch you guys play some Mario 3 or a bit of Zelda, bit of Metroid. I would find that so much more entertaining than this.
I know! I'm so stiff, I'm just like a Lego!
For X Factor, I give Studio Blue a 10 out of 11 because when you guys were in your golden age, you were very informative, very entertaining, and one of the best out there. Overall, Studio Blue gets a respectable C rating. There was some talk about remaking this game in a different engine, but realistically, it seems the RosenHearts have been abandoned. And it's a real shame as well, because with some adjustments, a bit of polishing, adding a few things here and there, this game could easily have been an A tier or even an S tier game. Steel, Teal, if you're listening to this, please think about going back to this game with the RPG Maker engine. Try and remember the excitement, magic and passion that you first felt when you started using RPG Maker. The thrill of putting your own work out there and creating your very own video game for people to play and enjoy. Try and reignite that spark, that feeling that you both once had. I think I speak for the whole community when I say we would love to see you bring this game back to life again, as we all want to see more of the RosenHearts sisters and their story. Next up, we have a game by Heartless Angel that's called Heartless Angel. Wait, what is that right? Yeah? Oh, okay. Although a little hard to read, I do quite like the title Heartless Angel, but it is used by other people. When I search by image or when I type in Heartless Angel the game or Heartless Angel RPG, your game does pop up, which is very good. The game starts with a little intro about how the humans killed our mother, who was an angel from the heavens, and our father, who is Lucifer, who is from hell. Not sure how the two of them met, maybe it was at a Christmas work party or something. After we played the piano for a little while, we then walked through our home that seems to be full of things that are trying to kill me. Not sure what my dad would say about that, but then again, what would happen if they succeeded? Would I go to super hell? Would I go to heaven? Or would I just respawn in my bed? I don't know, I have questions. After a while, we then meet a cute little bat called Chew, who just wants to help me because he's adorable. We then meet up with my dad, the Lord of Darkness, and he tells me to go kill some human adventurers who have infiltrated the castle, they're bastards, and I should go kill them to get revenge for what they did to me mum. So after I slash him up a little bit, I drag him to the basement to play a game. While we're playing Monopoly in the basement, the adventurer tells me he's actually here to rescue me, and that the world in fact needs me to save it from all the suffering, and that my father, the devil, lied to me and is in fact a cunning devil. Fake news. But then I noticed that Aldo went past go and he took 300 from the bank and not 200, so I kicked him across the room for cheating, and that's when I knew humans could never be trusted. We then meet up with my dad and we start to demand answers from him, and we challenge him to a fight. Oh crikey, we do. And of course we lose because, you know, I'm a 13-year-old little girl fighting the actual devil. Then I remembered a story that I heard, that once my dad went down to Georgia and met a boy called Johnny, and that's when I had an idea how I could defeat my father. Not with conventional weapons, but with the power of music. And that's when I challenged my dad to a rock-off.
Fine! Let the rock-off begin! Fucking lame!
Needless to say, we lost the rock off.
Wipe out!
But because it's my birthday, he takes pity on me and he gives me a mirror as a present. Oh, that's nice. And with this mirror, I can go to the mall and try on new clothes, do my hair, get my nails done. No. Oh, right. Oh, it's actually a magic mirror with magic mirror powers that can trap souls and also find our mother, who I think is working at Hot Topic at this point. I'm not sure. And that seems to be the story for the most part. We are half angel and half devil that is having an internal struggle. A bit of a coming of age story. I think this was based originally on a Japanese anime. I'm not sure. Unless it's Pokemon or Naruto, I ain't got a clue about anime. Overall, the writing in this game was very strong. I liked the dialogue between the characters, the interactions with the bat was fun, the descriptions and items for searching of the containers were excellent, very creative, so overall I do give you a solid 9 out of 11 for your writing. Yeah, little improvements can be made here and there, but for the most part, I don't think you need to change much of it at all. You can definitely leave what you've got and start working on the second act. You can always come back to this later on and tweak things, and considering English isn't actually your first language, the writing is very good indeed. The combat in this game was very fun. It was a little fast to the point I wasn't sure what was actually happening at times, but that might have been the settings that I had, and if I went into the options and turned on or off the FPS option, maybe this would have resolved the issue. The special abilities and attacks in this game were next level, and I love the fact that we had a skill tree and that I could pick which skills I wanted, customising my character to how I like. Definitely adds to the replayability factor, as you can choose to either go to the dark or light side, or perhaps a mixture of the two. There were also little puzzles throughout this game as well, which I did find very fun, although some of them were a bit hard to work out. This combination lock, for example, I didn't know where to start exactly to get the combination. Maybe if I get stuck I could ask Chu for help, and it's also a shame that there wasn't any pushing or jumping puzzles. Also, because you introduced the concept that our character could fly very early on in this game, I was expecting that mechanic to be used more, so I was a little disappointed there. But for the most part, the gameplay worked extremely well and it was fun, and I'm sure more puzzles will be added later on. So for gameplay, you get a 19 out of 22. The graphics in this game were fantastic, the battlers all looked amazing and they all fitted in with the theme of the game. I loved the voodoo dolls, by the way, and the tiny little devils, and I loved it that when I killed them I could see them dead on the floor. The battle animations were also superb. Just look at these mirror monsters, they're fantastic. Although some of the tile sets were default, it didn't detract from the overall effect, and I wouldn't change a thing. And there's quite a lot of nice little details here as well, like the reflection in the mirror, the mouse cursor, the transitioning from one screen to the other. It was all very well thought out, and I can tell a lot of love and a lot of passion has been put into this game. Your graphics for me get a 10 out of 11. The only reason you lose a point is because I don't like what your character's wearing. At the end of the day, she's a 13-year-old girl and she's looking very sexualised. Also, she does look a little small in battle and kind of looks like she's got 2 broken legs sometimes. It kind of looks like she's been in a car crash or something, which is a bit concerning. The other issue I have is Lucifer. He doesn't look like the devil at all. He looks like a mini-boss. This is the devil. This is the devil. This is not the devil. Very, very lacklustre, and quite honestly, quite disrespectful. If the devil is real, he's going to be very pissed off with how you've depicted him in this game. Apart from that, excellent work, 10 out of 11. The audio in this game, like everything else, is at an extremely high standard. I love the ambient background music when we're exploring the castle, and the battle music was epic. There were custom sound effects throughout this game, which is much appreciated, and there's even a little bit of voice acting in it.
You belong on the ground, worm. You deserve to fly.
The accent of which did sound a little strange to me. I'm not sure if it's meant to be an English accent or not, but I didn't find it to be particularly good.
Pathetic trash.
But hey, this can easily be swapped out later on, so it's not a big issue at all. So for your audio, you get a solid 10 out of 11, hands down. Heartless Angel is a bit of a strange character. She normally hangs around Drifty's Discord server and was very active when Drifty used to livestream videos on YouTube. She's also quite, how shall we say, judgmental, and can come across as being a bit rude and arrogant at times. She actually reminds me a bit of Nikarasu in that regard. She's very opinionated, very unrestrained, and she really doesn't care if she offends people. I'm not sure if she play tests other people's games or not. I think she has made a few YouTube videos in the past on her main channel, but I think that got banned and got took down as YouTube found it inappropriate. I think she was doing gore games or something, I'm not sure. Although she does have breaks from Discord, when she is there she's very passionate about games and about storytelling, and if you ask her a question, hold on tight because she'll definitely give you her opinion if you like it or not. Overall, she's a very active member of the community and is certainly someone we all remember. I give Heartless Angel a 6 out of 11 for the X Factor. She certainly leaves a lasting impression on people and has quite a following as well, and I know there's a lot of people out there that really want to see this game being made. The reason I don't score her more in this category is because she can come across as being a little bit rude and a bit hostile at times. She has also removed her game from the Itchy website, so you can't even find or play this game anymore, and she doesn't really market herself that much either. There's no Twitter to get updates, there's no Discord server, there's nothing. She does have a YouTube channel at the moment, but it's just soundtracks from Fear and Hunger. There's nothing of her actual work. So with all that being said, Heartless Angel does go straight to A tier, with just a little more social presence, and also by putting your demo back out there for people to play, you would easily get to S tier. I would personally suggest that you think about making your own Discord server or a Twitter account, as I know you've got a lot of fans out there and they'll love to keep up to date with your work. Additionally, if you were to put this on Kickstarter, I think it would be very successful and very well received, and you would raise quite a lot of money you could then invest in this game, and then you could really take Heartless Angel to the next level. The next game we have is made by Ligamer UK, aka Roooood Gamer, aka Leanne, aka Chibi, aka Chibe, aka Lee, aka why do you have so many fucking names? And this is their game, Hearts and Hardships. What can I say? I'm doing all the games I've heart in them first. Now, Chibs has made quite a few games over the years, but this is the only one I can actually download at the time since all the others have been removed. So this is the only game I can actually review. In fact, at the time of writing this, even this game has now been removed. So at the moment, there's no games out there at all by Chibs. I hope you've just put them on private or something and not deleted them, because that would make me quite sad. I've got to say, I love the title of this game, Hearts and Hardships. I think it works really well, and it does pop up when I search for it, which does actually kind of surprise me, as I thought this title would be used by a lot of people, but it's not. So quick, get out there, copyright that shit. Now, this is a visual novel, so I did expect the writing in this game to be at an extremely high standard, but unfortunately, it's not. So, I'll tell you what, let's start at the beginning. This game takes place in the Napoleonic Wars, and for those of you out there who are unfamiliar with this war, England defeated the French, just like England defeated nearly every single country in the entire fucking world. So this game is set in alternative reality, a reality with vampires and werewolves and red coats with samurai swords with Air Force camouflage on them. Yeah, I'm not sure about this. I think this is based on a Japanese story, so yeah, there you go. We start off our adventures as a girl called Betty of Blackwood, who lives in France, unlucky, who gets told by her shifty brother to go to England and find Major Leslie, who's got a bit of a girl's name. We then get told it'd be far safer to dress up as a redcoat in France, pretend to be a man and fight on the front line, as this would be safer than being a lady of the French. Right, yeah, I'm not sure on that. We then arrive at the port of Dover, where we get arrested because some sailors were smuggling contraband. So then I get hit over the head for it and dragged to jail. Good job they didn't touch my tits. We then chat to General Leslie, who's still got a girl's name, but then releases me from jail. We then have a 7-year flashback off, for fuck's sake, where we don't seem to have aged a bit. Are we vampires or something else? Or maybe it's that new Parisian skin cream I've been using. We then have quite a few conversations about learning how to fight and even flirt a little bit. Ooh, you little minx. And then we get sent out on an important mission to the bakery to get some cheese and onion pasties and a sausage roll. And at this point, I start to get a little bit lost, to be honest, because I'm not sure what the storyline is anymore or even where I am. I think we're now in England. I think we've been here for a while, in fact. So I'm not sure why I'm still learning how to fight, or why I'm still masquerading as a redcoat, or why I'm staying at the headquarters with other soldiers. Also, do we all have private rooms at headquarters, or is it just me that has the king-size 4-poster bed? If it is, that's a little bit suspicious, don't you think? At the end of the day, I'm now in the UK, so I'm now safe and sound, so isn't that GG? I don't understand why we're still continuing this. Yeah, I'm confused. We then have a little more chatting, a little more flirting, and of course, some more sausage rolls from Greg's. And then the idea of superhuman powers start to get introduced, and then the story ends. Oh, for fuck's sake, it ends. Yeah, it just ends right there. Game over. I think this was just the first act, but spoiler alert, there's no more acts to follow. I'm not sure if this was a Game Jam game or not, but the story does need some serious rewrites and editing, as this does feel like a first draft and a lot more work needs to be done on it. And when I say things like the story needs to be edited and rewritten, please don't take this personally, okay? Because every single film, every book, every play you've ever seen have all been edited multiple times. It's extremely rare you would ever have a writer that would send their first draft off to a publisher without it being heavily edited multiple times first. Any half-decent book you've ever read would have been edited at least 3 or 4 times before it got published. The only exception is people who self-publish, and most of the times their books suck. The main reason for that is because they're too arrogant or too ignorant to go back and edit what they've already written, or they're just bad writers. So when I or other people say things like, you need to go back and edit this, please don't see it as a negative. It is just the reality of writing good work. With this game, you have done most of the heavy lifting, you've got all the scenes in place, you know what you want to achieve, and you have the beats to the story. All you need to do now is go back to it and refine what you have and have fun with it. And have fun with the characters, make them sound different from each other, because at the moment they all sound a little bit soft. They could all do with a little bit more passion. Maybe you could have Major Leslie to be more of a gentlemanly type, and then this guy over here can be more rough and more raw around the edges, quick to lose his temper and doesn't mind getting into a fight. And then this guy over here can be a bit more of a cheeky scamp, bit of a ladies' man. That way you have 3 very distinct personalities to choose from when you start romancing them. Because at the moment, they all feel kind of the same, they all feel a little bit wet behind the ears. Give them some attitude and give them some bollocks.
What an idiot. What a dirty little Dutch buffle-brained bastard. I'll run his pox crown up his royal poxed arse. A blue-blooded twat.
Dear, oh dear, oh dear.
It's with a heavy heart I have to score the writing 3 out of 11. Right now it feels very much like a first draft and there's definitely room for improvement. If you were to go back and work on the storyline, make it more coherent, develop the characters to be more engaging, more fun, more unique from each other with distinct personality types, and make the overall story more engaging and fun, then I have no doubt at all that this score will be massively improved in the future. To be honest, I'm a bit reluctant to call Hearts and Hardships even a game at this point, as there isn't actually any gameplay to it. There's no winning or losing, there's no points to score. You could just turn on your turbo pad and the game would play itself. This is, at the end of the day, a visual novel, so it's going to score very low in the gameplay department, because the gameplay is non-existent. So ultimately, I'll score you a 2 out of 22. The reason you score 2 points is because there are a few dialogue options, so you get a point for that, and there's also kind of a romance system in the game, kind of, so you kind of score a point there. But just like the writing, this needs to be refined and improved more in the future. There's no puzzles, there's no battles, there's no riddles, there's nowhere I can go, nowhere to explore, I can't interact with anything, I'm just pressing X, 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 X all the way through this game, so the most I can score you, it is a 2 out of 22. Oh boy, this one is a bit of a hodgepodge. Right, well, first of all, I have to be honest, I don't like your busts in this game. I don't find them particularly nice to look at or charming. They kind of remind me of something that my sister would draw in the back of a jotter when she was 13 years old. I just don't particularly like them. I'm sorry. And why does the red coat have a samurai sword? I don't know. A lot of the scenes are unfinished, and some of the effects looked a bit silly. The blood on the windows, for example. If you would have actually kept the pencil art style, I think this could have worked well. I quite like that because I can use my imagination to fill in the blanks. I can colour it in myself. But just like the writing and the gameplay, the graphics need a lot more work and attention. I appreciate you have unique busts in your game and your very own art style, but overall, it's not at a very good standard, and I just don't like it. Furthermore, most of it's actually unfinished, and for a visual novel, you have to have good visuals, and this game, it doesn't have that. So you score a 3 out of 11 for your graphics. Now I had to go back and double check this because I didn't actually remember there being any audio in your game, but it was a while ago since I played it, to be fair. It seems like we do have some music playing throughout this game, but a lot more love and attention could have gone into this department. For example, when we were in town, it would have been nice to hear the sounds of a busy market square. When at the port of Dover, it would have been nice to have the ambient sounds of waves crashing against the rocks, sailors talking in the background, the soothing sound of a screaming seagull trying to nick me chips. But no, there were none of that in this game, and music and ambient background noises can really help make a scene, particularly with a visual novel. Furthermore, there were no sound effects or voice acting, so because you did have some music in your game, and because the music wasn't stolen from Final Fantasy, I think, and because it wasn't default RPG making music, you do get a 5 out of 11 for your audio, but you could have added so much more to this game and so much more to your scenes with just a few ambient background noises and some sound effects. Roooood has been a member of the RPG Maker community for many years and is very active on a lot of servers, particularly the HawkZombie Discord server and the Studio Blue. She does play other people's games and gives feedback on them, which is great, and she can also be found on Twitch, live streaming as well as joining other people's streams. Chibs is very supportive of other people's work, so in total I do give her a very solid 6 out of 11 for the X Factor, as I can't imagine the community without her, quite honestly. The reason I don't score Chips higher is because there are two main areas which could be improved. The microphone is one. This could do with being upgraded.
I didn't think of that, did I?
I know that's like the kettle calling the pot black because I've only just recently upgraded my mic and some of my audio has been shockingly bad, but your audio could definitely be improved as it can be quite hard to hear you at times, and there also seems to be quite a lot of white noise in the background.
Hello and welcome back to another devlog, and today I finished making the computer model. It took quite a bit because the keyboard keys are all separate.
The second area I think could be improved is the background itself. Specifically what I'm talking about is the space you use for streaming. It's an important part of the viewer experience, and with some small changes this could be dramatically improved. For example, each time I watch one of your videos I see that you have your duvet and your pillow on your sofa. Tidying up this space or just moving these items out of sight would make a huge difference. And just a bit of a side note here, and I know it's none of my business, but I do hope you're not sleeping on your sofa long term, as this can have a real negative effect on your health, both physically and mentally. The best advice I can offer is to think of your streaming space as a stage. Consider what your audience can see and what you would like them to see. Creating a cleaner, more organised background would really add a lot more appeal to your videos. Or alternatively, you could look into getting a green screen, which are quite cheap to buy now on Amazon. Simple upgrades like this will dramatically improve the quality of your videos. So in total, at the moment, I give Chibs a 19 out of 66, which currently does put you in F tier. That said, I know you are now working on a new 3D game that's based on the early Resident Evil series, and what I've seen so far, it looks fantastic. I really do hope you stick with this project and see it through, and when you do have a playable demo ready, please let me know, because I'd love to give this a go. Bgillisp has been a member of the RPG Maker community for a very long time and is most active in the Studio Blue, HawkZombie and Drifty Discord server, as well as being a level 5 knight in the beta tester server. Ooh. Although it looks like he's made a main game, I couldn't actually find it on Steam or the Itchy website, so the only games I've played are his Game Jam games, which there are 3. The writing for his first Game Jam game, 66 Seconds to Save the World, was quite frankly non-existent. We do get a little cutscene right at the start about some mages who accidentally summoned a demon, so then they get their mate Dave to save the day, but that's about it. Even when you save the day, you just return to the title screen. Yeah, that was a disappointing ending, that. So in total for this game, I would give this a 1 out of 11 for the writing. Yeah, sorry dude. His other game though, Harold vs the RPG, did have more writing in it. In fact, it was pretty much nothing but writing, as there's only one battle in the entire game. The story that's being told takes place in a world where the characters are self-aware and they know they're in a story/computer game, but neither of them particularly want to be there. For what there was, it was a fun little 5-minute story that didn't take itself too seriously. There were genuinely times where it did make me laugh out loud, and I did have fun playing it. The writing overall was good, the comedic timing of the jokes were well paced, there just wasn't much there because, you know, it's a Game Jam game. The writing for this I will score a 4 out of 11, but I can't score you any more because it is incredibly short and it's not fair to give you any more points than 4. His main game, or the game that had the most time spent on it, was I am the chosen one but my stats are awful and I have 10 days to raise them all. This game had a little bit more about it, more interactions than the other two. You could talk to any of the NPCs in this world and they often had their own little cutscenes, which were quite fun to look at. To be fair, the NPCs only had about 2 lines each thinking about it, but it was quite interesting to see what would happen when you did interact with them. Like the previous games, there was quite a bit of humour in this one, and I did find myself having fun with it as well. So overall, for all 3 games, for the writing, I'll give you 3 out of 11, as I would find it hard to justify giving you more points for these games, as there really wasn't much there in the way of substance. They're just light-hearted, 5-minute Game Jam games. The gameplay in 66 Seconds to Save the World is basically you running around like a tit, trying to get to the end goal before the timer runs out. You do this by dodging man-eating plants and not treading on purple water, something I did do quite often. Overall, it was okay, nothing special. It's a Game Jam game, did I mention that? And I think it was made on Ace, so it kind of really sucked to play this on my pad. I will give the gameplay for this one a 5 out of 22, as there was a little bit of skill needed to complete it, and it was a little bit different. The second game, Harold vs the RPG, only had 1 bit of combat in it, and it was actually default combat with default enemies. I understand that was part of the overall joke with this game, but as that was the only bit of gameplay in the whole game and the rest was just dialogue, there's nothing else for me to score regarding the gameplay, so you get a 1 out of 22 for that game. Now, the main game, 10 Days to Raise My Stats, had a lot more about it. You had to talk to people around town to raise your stats, and at the end of it, you had to kill the evil villain. In fact, thinking about it, there wasn't actually any gameplay to this game either. Yes. There were no battles, there were no puzzles. There was a woman that you could talk to that asked you a riddle, but you never got the opportunity to answer the riddle, so this was definitely a missed opportunity. This game would have benefited so much by having a few little mini-games in it, like the chasing of the chickens, or firing a bow and arrow, or playing a guitar solo. So for the gameplay, I will give this game a 3 out of 22, as I did enjoy talking to the people and seeing the little cutscenes. overall, from judging all 3 of these games, which I am, I will score you a 4 out of 22. As they were fun little games, but like most Game Jam games out there was nothing really of substance, nothing to get my teeth into. So yeah, 4 out of 22. The graphics for all these games were basic RPG Maker graphics and tile sets. There was nothing new here, no surprises, no custom art or anything like that at all. The mapping for some of these games were quite nice to look at, but then other times it looked like something that HawkZombie would make. There were some nice cutscenes here and there, and there was some very nice eventing going on as well. But overall, I have to give the graphics a 3 out of 11, because I can tell effort was put into these games and there's some nice effects overall, but at the end of the day, it was basic RPG Maker assets. The audio for these games were quite basic, and there was a lot of default sound effects throughout. There were some custom songs in the last game that I really did like, but overall it was let down with a lack of sound effects. For example, there was an option to play guitar, but there was no sound effect for the guitar, which is just sad in my book. Because there were some nice songs in the last game particularly, I will give you a 4 out of 11 for your audio, but you could have done so much more in this department. Bgillisp is very active on Discord, but he doesn't really seem to have a YouTube account or a Twitch or anything like that, but I have seen him on other forums, and he's even a mod for some of them. He's very well known throughout the community, and he always seems nice and friendly with people. His name is one of those that is quite easily forgettable, because it's like he's just slammed his fist on the keyboard, or fuck it, that's my name. So he's kind of a person that you might talk to one day, but then completely forget about exactly who you were talking to the next day, and you've got no way of finding him. If he were to change his avatar, for example, I won't have a fucking clue who he was. So for X Factor, I give Bgillisp a 4 out of 11. I know you play tested other people's games, but it's a shame you haven't uploaded any of these to YouTube, because recording your gameplay and sharing that feedback not only provides valuable information for the game creators, but it's also incredibly fun for them to watch somebody play their game. You don't need to use your camera or turn your microphone on or anything like that. Just recording the gameplay and sharing your thoughts in the video description or the comments section would really boost your X Factor dramatically, and it could help a lot of people out there in the future who come across your videos. I also know there's a lot of people out there that like to watch games being played with no commentary on it at all, so you could really end up with quite a lot of views if you go down this road. Plus, it's really fun to look back at the games you've played over the years. It can be a bit like a scrapbook of memories. It can give you a real sense of satisfaction and accomplishments. So maybe think about giving it a shot in the future, as I know you would make some great content and you've got a lot of great advice to give. Considering all of this, at the moment I would have to put Bgillisp in F tier. If you do have a main project for me to check out, or if you're working on something new, then please let me know down below, because at the end of the day, these are all little 5-minute game jam games, and I can't justify you putting you anywhere else than F tier. Next up, we have Aimi, which was made by a 16-year-old piece of toast, which is pretty impressive if you ask me, but what's more impressive is, unlike the vast majority of the games on this list, this game actually got finished. You start off as a young lass called Aimi, or is it Aimi, who, shall we say, have some issues, and mainly caused by her father. She has 2 friends with her, Aimi, yeah, that won't get confusing, and Thomas, who quite frankly is one of the best characters you'll ever come across in any RPG Maker game. So you start off by going around doing kids stuff like going to the park, playing hide and seek, shooting your best mate in the head. Wait, what? Yeah, did I mention this game's a bit of a mindfuck horror game? yeah, it is. It does get quite deep at times, but what do you expect from the mind of a 13-year-old lad? Because I think that's the age where Toasty first started to make this game, and then he was about 16 years old when he actually finished it. Overall, it is actually quite a psychological trip, to be honest with you, and it does touch on a lot of hard subjects, issues like depression, depression and isolation, and this word I don't think I can say on YouTube. The writing for this game, although some of it could be improved, it was at a pretty good standard, and the characterisation, specifically with Thomas, was excellent. I genuinely liked this lad and I cared about this character, and I did feel really sad when he died. No word of a lie, dude, I was actually a little bit heartbroken at the end. So for your writing, I am going to give you an 8 out of 11. It did make me feel a bit emotional at times. Yeah, there are some things that could be improved. Yeah, there's some things that could be made more clearer. Yeah, there might be a few plot holes here and there. But as a whole, I was very impressed, especially considering the age when you made it. Now, there isn't any traditional combat in this game. You're not fighting rats in the sewers or anything like that, but what you have instead is an assortment of mini-games and puzzles. Although there were quite a lot of variety, unfortunately not all of them were executed as well as they could have been. The first puzzle in the bathroom, for example, was fine, that was cool, that worked, I liked that puzzle, but the second puzzle got a little bit harder. I'm trying to run away from this blue dude, is it my depression or something, I'm not sure, but he would always catch me, and it wasn't until a few tries later that I thought, oh hang on a second, let me turn on auto dash in the options. So it would have been nice if you automatically turned on auto dash, or when I start the puzzle, you could give me a little pop-up to tell me, keep your finger on A to dash. But once I did turn it on, I did find this puzzle really fun to play, apart from the bit where he kept saying, I will kill you. That really started to get on my tits after a while, but I think that was your intention. We then had a puzzle that I got stuck on for like 20 fucking minutes. The beginning of the puzzle was good, it was cool, I got on with that one, I could understand that, but then he gave me a piece of paper that said Roman numerals, and I embarrassingly got stuck on this puzzle for a very long time. The issue was I was looking at the wrong piece of paper, I was counting the wrong numbers, I was counting the V's as 5s, and what I should have been doing was looking at this piece of paper and counting the I's as 1s. The clue here was that the I's were in bold, and these were the ones I should have been counting, but the issue was that most of the I's were capital I's. They often appeared after full stops, or they were referring to oneself, which would be a capital I. So to me, they didn't look like they were bold, it didn't look like a clue, they just looked like normal capital letters. I was way off on figuring this one out, but I think I just randomly started to pick numbers out of thin air, and I ended up cracking the code because, you know, I'm a master hacker. There were some very nice jumpy puzzles which I always enjoyed doing, and there were some slippy icy puzzles as well as a few riddles here and there, and they were all very well executed, no pun intended. So for the gameplay, I will give you a 13 out of 22. Some things could definitely been improved upon, but a lot of the puzzles were well thought out, and they did genuinely give me a feeling of satisfaction when I completed them. The graphics for this game might not be the best in the world, but we did have quite a bit of custom art, which is cool, and it's also at this point that we find out that Toasty has absolutely no fashion sense whatsoever. Like, seriously dude, what are these girls wearing? Orange and turquoise? White tennis skirts with navy jumpers? What were you thinking? And some of you out there thought Toasty might be gay. With that kind of fashion sense, not a fucking chance. All the characters have different facial expressions and poses, and they all have a very unique look to them. When you see them, you know you're playing a Toasty game, as they have a very similar style to his avatar. The mapping for the most part I thought was good, the school, the fantasy sequences, it all looked very nice, and there was quite a nice bit of detail here and there as well. So for your graphics, you get an 8 out of 11. The reason I don't score you higher is because you mixed orange with turquoise. You can't go around doing that, dude. That's just wrong. The audio for this game was a bit strange at times. Some of it was great, like the music in the theatre. But then some of it felt really out of place, like, why am I hearing salsa music? But then again, maybe I'm in a school in Mexico, I don't know. Some of the sound effects were nice to listen to, and then others were fucking disgusting. Yeah, this game was definitely made by a teenage boy. I love it. So for the unique and disgusting sound effects and for the music, your audio gets a very solid 8 out of 11. You didn't just put music in from Final Fantasy like other people on this list have done, you actually put thought and attention into it, which is always much appreciated from me. Toasty's been making content for years now, and a lot of us have been following him since he was like 13 years old, which does kinda sound a bit dodgy when I say it out loud. I've been following a 13-year-old little boy. Oh shit, am I going to be on this now?
FBI, open up!
In all seriousness, many of us in the RPG Maker community have always seen Toasty as a bit of a little brother. Watching him grow and develop online has been quite a remarkable journey, and looking back at his older videos, you can really see how far he's come and how much he has grown.
I'm here to say welcome to my channel! This channel will mostly be for RPG Maker and V tutorials, but maybe some Let's Plays of RPGs I find good. Quick disclaimer though, most of this content will be for beginners to RPG Maker and V. Unless you're a pro wanting to watch me be stupid and funny-ish?
I forced my friend to survive the zombie apocalypse, but whatever he has by the end of the challenge, he gets to keep. Why is he grabbing 1984? Shh.
As Toasty is a massive member of the RPG Maker community, and because he's provided us with hundreds of videos, thousands of hours of entertainment, with a mixture of Let's Plays, tutorials, first impressions, and just great advice in general on how to make our games better, Toasty gets an 11 out of 11 for his X Factor. He really has made the RPG Maker community a better place. Although his game might not be the best in the world, it is a game he can actually complete from start to finish, and it is a game that has a lot of time and effort put into it, and it also comes from a very personal place. So Toasty, without a doubt, goes straight to A tier. Well done, Toasty. You really have made a game that's left a lasting impression on me, and one I will always remember. Oh, and just on a final note while I'm here, I know at the moment you're at a bit of a crossroads regarding making content right now. I know you really enjoy making videos for YouTube and editing them, but I also know how time consuming that can be. So if you're looking at trying something new, I think you could have a lot of fun making some reaction videos. Specifically, I would love to see you react to some classic English comedies. I know this is something that others have done before, but typically it is an older generation reacting to these TV shows, so it'd be absolutely fabulous to see someone from a younger generation react to these comedies, especially if you haven't seen them before. For example, shows like Bottom, Only Fools and Horses, Spaced, Red Dwarf, Father Ted, Steptoe and Son. I could go on and on and on. I think you would enjoy watching some of these shows, and we would enjoy watching you watching these shows. It'd be great to see what your thoughts are on them. Do you think they're outdated? Are they offensive? Are they stupid? What do you think to the characterisation? Do they make you laugh? Do they have good storylines? You could really delve deep into these comedies and get a lot of content from them. Also, I think reaction videos might not be as labour intensive to create as some of the other videos you made on YouTube in the past. It's just a thought, but I think it's something you'd really enjoy doing.
Edward Hitler, come down here at once!
Ooh, where do we start with this one? HawkZombie is a content creator that not only plays RPG Maker games, but also other games on YouTube and on Twitch. He has made more videos than any other person on this list by far, and he really is a firm believer of quantity over quality. Now, the game that he's made is called Sorbetta, Gravely in Debt, and this game was actually made as a bet. Yeah, that don't bode well, does it? Yeah, it comes from the fact that HawkZombie was playing someone else's game and was being very critical of it, to the point where the developer said, well, if you think you could do better, why don't you make a game? And HawkZombie was like, oh, okay then, I will. And there you have it. That's how Sorbetta, Gravely in Debt came into existence. Yeah, thanks for that, mate. We start off as Sorbetta, who has a gambling addiction and who owes money to their loan sharking cousin, Sorbetta. When Sorbetta cannot pay off Sorbetta, he, I don't know, I don't care, goes off to open up a shop and a bar in a basement with a talking piano called Keanu, you get it, who wants you to go out there looking for recipes for cocktails so you can earn some money to pay off your debts. Yep, that's the storyline right there. The writing throughout this game was just absolutely terrible. It was atrocious how bad this was. I've got no idea how people like Human can leave reviews like this, because the writing was just so awful.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
It was just full of lame jokes and old references to TV shows and films. Some might say it's called paying homage, while others would just say it shows a lack of creativity.
Klaatu! Miranda!
It was just a constant barrage of pop culture references and inside jokes that ultimately just felt uninspiring and lazy. I've watched some people play this game like Studio Blue while laughing like weasels throughout it, like this is the funniest shit that's ever been written in the history of mankind. I just don't get it. I have no idea what kind of brain injury they were both suffering from at the time, but I do hope that they're both recovered and are feeling much better now. None of the characters in this game were interesting in the slightest. There was no character development at all. The characters at the start of the story were exactly the same as they were at the end of the story. Have you not heard of a character arc before? Like, seriously, dude, what the fuck? This is especially disappointing coming from you, because you call yourself a writer. I mean, alright, you're self-published, but still, considering you've actually written some books, you really should know better. This wasn't just a missed opportunity to show people in the RPG Maker community your skills as a writer. It felt like you didn't even try, and that's what makes me so sad about all this. The lack of effort. Is this really the best you've got to offer? I mean, the books you've written, I've read a few pages of them and, you know, they're okay. They're not Shakespearean or anything, but what I did read didn't seem half bad.
Are you sure about that?
And yeah, I didn't actually read any of your endings to your stories, so actually, maybe you haven't got a clue how to write, and that's the reason why this game is so bad. Because the writing throughout this game was really cringe. I know the word cringe is now cringe, but this game really did make me cringe. It was just a random mishmash of crap thrown together. And I'm not just talking about the character portraits. With writing like this, and writing like that, I don't know what else to say. I think Teal said it best, to be honest with you.
Fat, jealous, lazy, dev.
Now, full disclaimer, I have taken that out of context, but it's true nonetheless. Apart from the fat thing, by the way, I don't agree with that, but everything else is bang on fucking point. For the writing, you'll get a 1 out of 11. The reason I score you 1 point is because you did use capital letters and full stops, so that's something you can be proud of, but at the end of the day, ChatGPT would have made a much better storyline than this. I mean, fuck it, just having your cat walk over the keyboard would have resulted in better writing than what this game had. 1 out of 11. It was tripe. The gameplay throughout this game was nothing more than a big steaming bag of shite. You couldn't even be bothered to make your own dungeon. This was created in the dungeon generator, which is something you should never use. The combat was basic, there's nothing special here, nothing unique, nothing fun. It's just as basic can be. I've played game jam games that have more depth than what this game had. There was a little puzzle in the dungeon, granted, but that was so bad you shouldn't have even bloody bothered with it, mate. I mean, just look at this puzzle. God damn it, this game sucks. And then you send me off on a fetch quest to find random recipes for cocktails that could be hidden literally anywhere throughout the game. Oh, fuck off with that stupid bollocks. I can't believe you put this on Steam and charged money for it. Shame on you. For your gameplay, you get a 1 out of 22, and the reason I'm giving you a point is because, you know, at the end of the day, I am quite a nice guy. Strangely enough, this wasn't all bad. Some of it, fucking hell dare I say, was actually quite nice mapping. For example, the insides of the buildings looked quite good, so did the graveyard and the town. Maybe a little more detail could have been added, some textures, some elevation, some NPCs to talk to would have been nice, but overall, this isn't actually too bad. What was really bad was the mapping of your dungeon, which, like I said previously, was just generated inside the game engine with no added detail or time or effort given to it at all. Zero fucks went into this dungeon, and it's the same with the world map. Just look at it, man, this is embarrassing. The word shit sandwich gets thrown around a lot these days, but these characters are a great example of that particular delicacy. Look at them, just look at them. And you think I want to stick that shit on my water bottle and what? Go to the gym with it? Take it to my place of work so my colleagues can see it? Get the fuck out of here with that shit. For your graphics, you get a 1 out of 11, and that's mainly down to the fact that I did quite like some of your mapping in the town. But apart from that, the rest of it really just made me want to poke my eyes out. All the sound effects of this game were default, no time or effort went into this department whatsoever. There's a fucking surprise. A great example is the main character gets to use a chainsaw as a weapon, but guess what? There's no chainsaw sound effect, and that's just sad. Look how long it takes me to find a chainsaw sound effect online. This is how easy it is, dude. You really let yourself down with this. You were just being lazy. Although there were a lot of default music in this game, there were a few tracks that actually were unique. I shit you not, there really was. So you are going to get some points for that. But the music that you did use was heavily inspired by Final Fantasy, to the point I thought I was actually listening to music from Final Fantasy. It's only when your end credits popped up that I realised you actually paid money and he bought some of these songs. So for your audio, I am going to give you a 4 out of 11 because I do appreciate that you did have some unique music in this game, but like everything else, it wasn't very original and you really did let yourself down not having any chainsaw sound effects. I mean, what would Ash say?
Hardware, aisle 12.
Although HawkZombie has made more videos than any other content creator on this list by far, no one is really watching them. I mean, just check out the views on these videos. And it just goes on and on and on. I mean, just look at this. I'm not cherry picking this or anything like that. This is what it's like. At what point do you not take a step back and go, maybe I'm doing something wrong here. Maybe I need to try something else. I tell you what, let's dive into this a little bit deeper and let's analyse this a little bit more, shall we? Now, one of the first problems I think you have is the quantity of it all. It's not a special occasion when you upload a video to YouTube, because there's thousands of the bastards. When I see a pop-up telling me there's a new HawkZombie video on YouTube, I ignore it, because there's always a new HawkZombie video on YouTube. When isn't there a new HawkZombie video on YouTube? Compare this with someone like Toasty, for example. Now, when he makes a video and I see it pop up, it's a special occasion, it's rare. I know he only makes 1 or 2 videos a month, so I click on that shit when I see it, and I see what he's got to say. Also, I know it's a safe bet to assume he's put a lot of time and effort into this video, because he chooses quality over quantity. And at the end of the day, quality will always win.
It's toasting time.
I remember years and years ago, I tried to get into your content. I really did try to be a part of your community. You were playing some Mega Drive games at the time that you never played before. And I was like, oh shit, look, he's playing some Shining Force 2. Cool, I love that game. And I sat down ready to watch 2 hours of you playing some Sega Mega Drive. Then about 15 minutes later, I get another pop-up. You've uploaded the next part. So I'm like, well, okay, I've got the day off. I can watch 4 hours of you playing some Shining Force. Okay, yeah, fuck it, let's do it. Then I'll be up to date with all the in-jokes and stuff like that. Then I'll be a proper member of your community.
So, where are them Game Genie codes so I can, just cheat my way through?
So I'm thinking I can watch these while I'm doing things around the house, like washing up and cleaning out the bathroom. Okay, today's the day I'm gonna watch HawkZombie play 4 hours of some Shining Force.
Fuck, now we're gonna talk about Dick. God damn it.
And then 10 minutes later, I get another pop-up with another video that you've made that's nearly an hour long. And it's like, for fuck's sake, dude, pack it in. I don't have time. I don't have time to watch all these fucking videos. How the hell can I keep up to date with all this? I just don't have time to watch 5 hours of HawkZombie videos in a day. So as a result, I ended up turning it off and not watching any of it. I mean, I tell you what, let's just step inside the shoes of a new viewer for a moment who comes across your channel for the very first time. Where do they start? What video should they watch first to get to know you and the community and the jokes? People are going to look at the amount of content that you've created, then look at the viewing figures and go, yeah, fuck that, I'm not going to watch any of it. And that's what's happening, and that's why you're not getting any new viewers. You've oversaturated your own market. Now, the second issue that you have is that you have the tendency to have like 10 games on the go all at once. Just going back to your Shining Force videos for an example, okay? Look at the huge gap between uploads. There's like a 2-week gap until you play it again. And at this point, I've forgotten what you were doing in the game. I've forgotten the jokes that we were having at the time. Having such a huge gap like this is just going to piss off new viewers that came specifically to watch you play that game. You lose all the momentum that you built up, and quite often you don't even end up completing the fucking games that you play. You just stop playing them and it just fizzles out. Now, the third problem you have is that most of the videos that you have on YouTube are actually just taken from Twitch, and this is another reason why your views are so low. When I'm watching a video on YouTube that you've uploaded directly from Twitch, I don't feel like I'm a part of the audience. It feels like I'm an outsider looking in. It's similar to watching a live theatrical performance on TV. It just doesn't have the same impact, the same feeling as the real thing, because you're not performing to me and the people on YouTube. You're performing to the people on Twitch. You're performing to the people in your chat.
Dude, CW, thank you so much for those 5 gift subs right now.
I can be watching one of your videos and I could be totally engrossed in a horror game that you're playing. It's all quiet, ambient noises in the background, very intense. You find a key with a red diamond on the handle. I wonder what that's for. Oh, you found a room a few minutes ago with a poker table. Maybe the key's related to that. Maybe there's a secret drawer or something. Or maybe it's to do with that Harlequin costume that you found. And then the next thing I know, you start bursting out laughing your fucking titties off because somebody said something in the chat. And I'm like, what is it? What's so funny? What's happened? What have I missed? What's going on?
Azura, thank you! Holy shit!
It is such a jarring shift. It completely pulls me out of that moment. And this is the exact point when a person on YouTube stops becoming your audience and becomes an outsider. This is the exact moment you've alienated that viewer, making them feel that they're no longer a part of the experience and nothing more but a bystander to something that they're not in on. Now, the last issue that we have, and this is quite a serious one now, is your Discord server, which is widely regarded throughout the community as being incredibly toxic. And at the end of the day, the fish stinks from the head down, and it's you that sets the tone for the community. I know you have tried to clean this up a little bit recently, and you did get rid of the RPG Maker Mafia, which is good. For those of you who don't know, by the way, the RPG Maker Mafia was when HawkZombie and a bunch of people on his Discord server started downvoting games and review bombing creators for little stupid petty things like having too many fat jokes in a game. Yeah, seriously, I kid you not, that was a thing.
I remember when I was making my game Killer Jin, you know, there was a lot of toxic people, a lot of trolls, and HawkZombie was absolutely one of them. He spread vicious lies about my game, saying something like stupid stuff like I'm a fat shamer, just so dumb. And then he said something about me having underage porn in my game. Are you serious? It's so stupid.
M'lady.
I mean, him just making up lies about my game is not a big deal. But the fact that he has a whole bunch of troll people that follow him and that they all start spreading the lies too and hating on my game.
The problem is, when I come across recent comments like this, has anything really changed? Or is it still the same toxic cesspit that's full of fucking weirdos? And you wonder why no one's joining. With all that being said, let's get back to the point system. HawkZombie, for your X Factor, I give you 3 out of 11, and this is mainly due to the Game Jam games that you play, which does bring a lot of joy to a lot of people, so I will give you credit for that. But because you've oversaturated yourself, and because you actually like to focus a lot on playing shitty games on your 1-star Thursdays, I can't give you any more points than 3, as it does seem like you get genuine pleasure from ridiculing and taking the piss out of other people's work without really giving any kind of constructive criticism for how they can improve. Often it can be incredibly hard to see your content at times as anything more than just tearing others down for entertainment, and that doesn't sit well with me. Overall, I can't put you in F tier because that just wouldn't be fair. There might be games out there that are theoretically worse than yours, but at least those developers tried. You didn't give one flying fuck when you made this game, but the thing that really boils my piss is the fact that you had the audacity to put this bastard on Steam and charge money for it. And that, in my opinion, is nothing short than a slap in the face of the RPG Maker community. It drags down the hard work and passion that so many creators have put into their projects, and it only adds to the bad reputation and negative stereotypes that RPG Maker games are nothing more than low effort cash grabs that aren't worth shit. Fuck you, fuck your game, fuck your Discord. How you have the audacity to say things like this, I have no idea. Your game isn't just the worst RPG Maker game I've ever played, it's in a league of its own, and I certainly cannot in good consciousness place you in F tier alongside others that did try and did put effort into their games, because you don't deserve to be there next to them. No, your game gets its own special place, the HawkZombie tier, because your game is lower than the low. HawkZombie tier, I hope you're proud of it. And here we have the king of the RPG Maker world himself. You all know his name is the one, the only Drifty. I don't think anyone has contributed more to this community than Drifty. He has seriously helped so many of us with his tutorials that his name has reached legendary status.
Hello everybody, Drifty here from Driftwood Gaming.
Now, I've looked at 4 games that he's made so far. 2 of them were Game Jam games, one called Spikefall, the other called The Space of Driftwood. And I also looked at his MMO type of game that he play online called Driftlandia, and also looked at his main RPG Maker game, which is called The Legend of Driftwood. Both his Game Jam games, Spikefaller and The Space of Driftwood, have absolutely no storyline to them whatsoever. You just start these games and you're thrown straight into them. Very reminiscent of the old school games you used to get back in the 70s. So I can't really score you any points for writing for these games because, you know, there's no writing in them. So 0 out of 11. But the online MMO that Drifty's made, Driftlandia, that also doesn't have any storyline to it of any kind, or dialogue, or NPCs for that matter to talk to. We can go down to the pub, but these are my only options. I can't talk to anyone. I can't talk to anyone in this game. We do have some text right at the start, and we do have a few walls of text about how to play the game, but that's about it really. So honestly, I can't score you very highly for the writing with this one, so 1 out of 11 for your spelling and punctuation? Oh, fucking hell, no, we're back here again. Oh, shit. But the next game, his main game, The Legend of Driftwood. I bet that will have a good storyline to it and some great dialogue throughout it. Yes? No? What? Seriously? Oh, bollocks. So we start off the game relaxing at home, having a nice cup of tea while listening to some music from Final Fantasy on my iPhone. Wait, what year is this again? And then we hear a noise outside. It's an evil ginger nut looking for us. Oh no. So then we escape through the sewers. Oh no. Where we fight some generic default monsters like bats and rats for 20 minutes. Oh god no. Till we level up enough to fight a generic default boss. Oh for fuck's sake, no, please god, no. Is this for real? It is. Oh. We then make it out the sewers to learn it's the Crimson Dawn Empire that's behind the attack of the village. Oh no, not the Crimson Dawn Empire. Whatever will we do? We then go to the castle to find an elite Empire assassin. Oh Jesus Christ. Trying to assassinate the king. But we get into a fight with the elite Empire assassin from the Crimson Dawn Empire and stop him in his tracks. And this is why I stopped playing the game, because it's a bunch of cliched crap. I really don't want to play this game anymore. The storyline at best is piss poor. I was incredibly surprised that this is Drifty's main game. The king of RPG Maker himself, who criticises other people's games, sometimes very harshly I might point out, has made one of the most forgettable, lame, generic, disappointing, limp dick, cliched, mundane games ever to exist. I mean, good god man, this is bad. The writing throughout this game was just awful. You had NPCs throughout breaking the fourth wall, which is something I don't mind too much if it's funny, but when you're talking about your father holding down the action button, it just doesn't work, does it? This is just weird. I know you're trying to do tutorials through NPCs, but this is not how you do it. The very few interactions we did have between the characters was flat, unimaginative, and forgettable. There wasn't anything of substance here at all. We never learned more about the characters. We don't explore their relationships or their personalities, what they like, what they dislike, where they come from, where they're going, what their motivations or goals are in life. No, we don't learn any of that nonsense. Instead, we get lines like this. Fuck. For your writing, you get a 2 out of 11. The reason you get 2 points is because there is a storyline and I don't know. Fuck it, you get a 1 out of 11. This is just as bad as HawkZombie's game. And that's saying something, dude. That's a fucking insult where I come from. There's no character development. There's no banter between your characters. There's no storyline of interest. There's no passion here whatsoever. It's just a load of generic, forgettable, cliched bollocks. This is so disappointing. I'm finding it hard to put into words, quite frankly. I'm just amazed how bland and boring this game is. In total, you get a 1 out of 11 for your writing. Very disappointing. The gameplay for Legend of Driftwood just makes me sad looking back at it. We're just fighting rats and bats in the sewers, like, dude, seriously, dude. The combat was basic, there was nothing new, nothing special, nothing original, just the same thing we've seen 100 times before. I was so disappointed that you made a game like this. I expected so much more from you, mate, I really did. I was excited playing this game for the first time, but dude, this was just bad. I don't remember there being any puzzles in this game because Drifty hates puzzles apparently. We're just going around killing generic monsters in the sewers and then fighting generic guards in the castle and then fighting a generic boss. Nothing noteworthy, nothing to see, nothing of interest. There were no cool powers or abilities or game mechanics to this game. It was just default RPG Maker combat with default monsters in a default game. That's all there was. It was just default. And then when we actually get inside the castle, you prevent me from exploring it by literally stopping me in my tracks and telling me, "The castle is being overrun. Slay more enemies in the castle first. You must kill at least 5 enemies before proceeding." This is such bad game designing. I can't believe you thought this was acceptable. A much better alternative would have been locking the stairs behind a door that requires a key that's guarded by enemies that I have to kill. That would at least make sense in the context of the game world. As it stands, this was just lazy and immersion breaking. What were you thinking? Guys, seriously, guys, on a serious note, never ever put this kind of shit in your game. This just screams lazy game design. For your gameplay, I'm going to give you 3 out of 22 because it worked. Yeah, I'm going to give you 3 points because the combat worked. Congratulations for that. But the game wasn't fun, it wasn't good, it was just lazy. The MMO that he made, Driftlandia, had even worse combat, believe it or not. I was actually quite shocked and taken aback with how bad this one was. Just check this out, Run away or attack, we're going to attack the slime. Oh shit, what happened there? Oh, is that it? And I've not edited this. This is the combat. If this was a free online game you could play back in 1994, then okay, fine. But say this was made in the year 2020, Jesus Christ, on a bike. The other gameplay in Driftlandia is just collecting twigs while I'm a fucking dog and going around collecting berries while I'm a fucking hamster. You see... You want to see what it looks like when I go fishing? You want to see me going fishing? This is me going fishing. Yay? I mean, seriously, you're not even going to show me a picture of a fish that I've caught? Oh my god, the gameplay's bad. Talking about things that are bad, we have your space game, The Space of Driftwood. And what's with all the titles, by the way, dude? How narcissistic can you be? Fucking hell. This game is just stuffed with clunky controls that's not fluid or fun to play in the slightest. I'm on the very first level, and just look how many shots it takes me to kill an enemy. Now look how many shots it takes me to kill an enemy in Asteroids. Oh man, I want to play some Asteroids now. I could upgrade my weapon theoretically in this game to do more damage, but it seemed impossible to find any credits, to the point I thought I was missing a large part of the game. I wasn't. There was no death animation when I died, you just get thrown straight back to the title screen. It was just poor design from start to finish. And then we have the last game, Spike Faller, which is just riddled with random spikes that you can't predict or avoid. I have no idea what most of this stuff is on the screen or what it even does. I mean, what is this? What is this? Is this good? Am I on fire? It's just a frustrating, confusing mess with no real redeeming qualities. How am I supposed to get past this bit? Just look at this, what am I supposed to do? Like the other games, Spike Faller just feels unfinished and it was very poorly thought out. God damn it, these games really were bad. For gameplay, for total, for all 4 of your games, I'm going to give you a 4 out of 22. You get 1 point for each crappy game you've made. Yeah, 4 out of 22. Not only did The Legend of Driftwood suffer from poor design, but it was riddled with glaring inconsistencies. Did you even playtest this? I mean, seriously, dude, did you playtest this bollocks? But everything in this game was default. The rats were default, the bats were default, the guards were default, the boss was default. In fact, the boss is the exact same boss that HawkZombie had. Yeah, we're entering that territory again, and that's a fucking scary place to be. You couldn't even be bothered to make your castle. Oh, I'm getting deja vu. You couldn't even be bothered to make your own castle. You just used a pre-made one that came with the RPG Maker engine and said, fuck it, that will do, didn't you? You didn't even take the time to make it your own and change things. Quite frankly, this is just the same laziness as HawkZombie. Some of the NPCs you use look stretched and weird looking, and the world map is so basic with no detail. This might actually be worse than HawkZombie's world map. Fuck me, I can't believe I said that. I've seen better world maps made by 10-year-olds. Seriously, dude, this is embarrassingly bad. It's fine to have something like this when you first start making a game, and then you've got to go back to it and edit it and add more details and stuff. That's fine, but you never did. You said, fuck it, that's good enough. But I'm here to tell you, sweethearts, this ain't good enough. This ain't good enough at all. A lot of your characters have the same facial expressions throughout this game. A cave is haunted by ghosts from another world, and that's pretty scary in my book. But this is the facial expression you're giving me? This? The scaling for a lot of your enemies was also all over the place. Just look at the size of them compared to me. I mean, what the fuck is this? It's ridiculous, that's what this is. You've used multiple different art styles throughout this game. You have so many sample maps, your castle, your towns, your interiors, to the point I think most of this game is actually made up of fucking sample maps. And check out the graphics of your MMO. I mean, what the hell is this? Talk about conflicting art styles. What kind of fucking mushrooms were you munching? For your graphics, you get a 2 out of 11. You get 1 point because the mapping for the sewer wasn't half bad, and I think you did do the mapping for that, I'm not sure though. And you get another point for the consistency of your graphics, because they were consistently piss poor. I honestly cannot believe this was your main game, and people out there actually praised you for it. I advise that anyone who liked this game go see a specialist immediately, as I think you might be seriously suffering from psychosis. It's either that or you're suffering from a severe case of brown nosing, or you've been on the same kind of mushrooms that Drifty's been scoffing. Either way, the graphics, 2 out of 11. The music he used in this game was from Final Fantasy and Chrono Trigger, and it was just full of default sound effects from RPG Maker, so I can't score you any higher than a 1 out of 11 for your audio. The only reason I give you 1 point is because it was better than no music, but then again, you didn't actually have any music for your MMO, so what can I say? I know what I can say. I can say you're a bit of a hypocrite, because you've criticised a lot of people in the past for using music from Final Fantasy in their games, and here you are doing the exact same thing in yours. And no, this game isn't satire. You're not doing this ironically. If you were, I could maybe get behind that. But like, seriously, dude, WTF, I expected so much more from you, I really did. I will give you another point for your music in Spitefall. It was annoying as fuck, but at least it was original. So for your audio, 2 out of 11. Now this is where Drifty scores the highest, and rightly so. Drifty has done so much for the RPG Maker community that in all seriousness, a lot of games wouldn't even be made if it wasn't for him. It's impossible to overstate that fact. His tutorials are golden, and he has helped thousands of us in the RPG Maker world, and he's also played hundreds and hundreds of games. So Drifty gets an 11 out of 11 for his X Factor. That's not even up for debate. Everyone knows who Drifty is in the RPG Maker community, and I wager nearly everybody has watched at least one of his tutorials. I know I have, and they've been so invaluable. So for that, I do give you a massive thank you, and you do have my respect. Seriously now, Drifty, thank you, and I honestly mean that. Thank you for everything you've done for this community, and you should genuinely be proud of yourself, mate, because there's thousands of games out there that wouldn't be half as good if it wasn't for your help. So thank you for everything you've done, and I mean that wholeheartedly. Overall, Drifty, I score you a 20 out of 66. I can't put you in F tier because you're fucking Drifty. You're Drifty, man, you're Drifty. You've earned too much respect to go there. But I also can't put you in D tier because that would put your game next to C tier. And quite frankly, your game doesn't belong anywhere close to that level. If I were just judging you solely based on your games that you've made, you would land firmly in F tier. No question about it. And if you were to charge money for The Legend of Driftwood, then again, you would be sitting next to HawkZombie in the HawkZombie tier. However, your playthroughs and especially your tutorials has earned you some massive respect and some serious bonus points. So Drifty, respectfully, you do go straight to E tier. You're not on the same level as HawkZombie, not even close, my friend, you're not even close to that level. You've done far too much good for the community to ever be compared to him, but the games aren't very good, so ultimately, you are left in E tier. Next up, we have T, who has not only made quite a few games, mainly Game Jam games, but also has made quite a few tutorial videos on YouTube, which is always very cool in my opinion. She is working on a bigger project at the moment called Understood Monster Island, but this isn't downloadable yet, so unfortunately I can't play it. But the two games I did play are both Game Jam games and are quite different from each other, so let's check them out. The first game I played was Harbour City Hostage. We wake up to a ransom note saying that my husband has been kidnapped by the evil boss man, the bastard, and wants 1 million monies? Personally, for 1 million monies, I'd say keep the fucker. But we don't, because we love our husband, and instead we work the streets for money.
You keep saying you got something for me.
No, not like that. That's like this, with fists of fury. And that's pretty much the storyline for that game. There isn't many interactions, it's a Game Jam game after all. You can go around talking to people and you can talk to the shopkeeper, and there might be a few little pop-ups and dialogue here and there, but that's about it really. So I can't score you too highly in this department because there wasn't much there, but what there was, it did make me smile and it did give me a bit of a laugh, so 2 out of 11. The other game, on the other hand, Creative Cutscene Contest, is just that. It's just one big long cutscene. It starts off with a slime that overhears some kids talking about where babies come from, and it's quite innocent, has quite a bit of charm to it. It's nothing spectacular or anything like that. It's not going to change your worldviews or take you to the next step of enlightenment or anything, but what there was, it wasn't bad. And that's about it really, there's not much more I can say. The characterisation in this game was actually pretty decent for what there was. The dialogue between the characters felt natural. The little green girl specifically stood out to me with her personality. I quite liked her. The humour was light, it was pleasant, it was upbeat, but as it was a Game Jam game, and ultimately because it was over in 5 minutes, I can't score you any higher than a 3 out of 11 for this game. I can tell that T had fun making these games, and I can tell she did put quite a bit of time and effort into them. However, as they are Game Jam games, the writing, well, it's quite minimal, and for that reason, I can't really score you any higher than 3 out of 11. As the Creative Cutscene Contest had no gameplay in it whatsoever, it's just one long cutscene, I can't actually give you any points for your gameplay for this one, so 0 out of 22. But Harbour City Hostage, on the other hand, did have gameplay in it, and it was very reminiscent of games like Streets of Rage and River City Ransom. As this was a side-scrolling beat-em-up game that's made in the RPG Maker engine, it's not very good. It's the same as trying to make a top-down shooter or an FPS with RPG Maker. With the best will in the world, it's never going to be good. Although the controls were pretty horrible, it does have some nice touches here and there. For example, if you run into a lamppost, you can knock yourself out. Very reminiscent of games like the Three Stooges that you can find on the net. And you do have a selection of weapons that you can use on enemies, including a wet fish, which was really fun to use and definitely adds to the charm of the game. It's clear that genuine effort and passion went into creating these games. I will be honest, I did have quite a lot of fun playing this one, and it was satisfying beating people up. I enjoyed running around the levels like a chaotic purple ass fly, jumping around like a purple tit. It was fun, this game genuinely made me smile. But because the engine isn't designed for this kind of game, and because the buttons also felt a bit jacked up and it didn't work with my pad, the game didn't really have that much longevity to it, and after a while it would get quite repetitive and boring, as you can't really add that much depth or strategy to a game game like this, with this kind of engine, and with the best will in the world, you really can't fix the clunky buttons and the broken controls, as RPG Maker isn't designed for this kind of game. For the gameplay, I will score this game a 5 out of 22, as it did make me smile quite a bit, and it was fun to play for a while, but it's certainly not the kind of game I could get stuck into on a Friday night, like I would with Streets of Rage, for example. Overall, for both these games, for your gameplay, I will score you a 4 out of 22. The graphics for both these games were quite basic. They're all default RPG Maker assets at the end of the day, apart from maybe a few little perkle things here and there. Not much love or attention went into the title screens or font. There was no change of facial expressions throughout the game, which was quite disappointing, especially for the cutscene game. The mapping for the most part, it was okay. This is a house, although we don't have a toilet. This is a town. This is a backyard. Yeah, that's about it. Really, the graphics, they're just okay, largely default, nothing special, nothing you haven't seen before, and nothing that's going to leave you amazed or flabbergasted. At the end of the day, and say it with me, these are just game jam games. So for your graphics, I score you 2 out of 11. There was some nice audio throughout Harbour City Hostage. It wasn't just all default music, which is very good. There were quite a few rock songs that really get you pumped for a fight, which is what I like. And it wasn't full of music from Final Fantasy, which is really much appreciated. It's the same with the other game as well, the creative cutscene contest. The music was fitting, and the sound effects, although they were default, they were used quite nicely. So T gets a 5 out of 11 for audio. What she used very well and to great effect. T, of course, is most active in the Driftwood server, and for those of you who don't know, Drifty is her husband. This is them together right here. This is T, this is Drifty, Drifty, T, yep, that's both of them together. T always comes across as being very approachable, kind, and is very willing to help people. The Driftwood Discord server itself is incredibly welcoming to newcomers, with a variety of channels for different topics. While this is a place where a lot of people do talk about RPG Maker, it's not exclusive to it, making this Discord server a great place for any game developer to join, regardless of what engine you're using. T has also made quite a few tutorials herself on her channel and also on the Driftwood channel, as well as playing other people's games and offering general feedback and guidance and support.
I thought there was a lot of redundant explanation, but that would be my only complaint throughout the whole thing. It's very nice, the battle system's nice, the animations look great, the mapping looks great, and like I said, the story's compelling. It makes you want to continue and figure out what's going to happen next. So it's pretty cool.
She has given a lot back to this community, so for those reasons, T gets a solid 9 out of 11 for her X Factor. If Drifty is the king of the RPG Maker world, which she is, then T is certainly the queen. So for those reasons, she does actually technically score higher than Drifty, so she goes to the E tier, but it's an E+. And the game that T is currently working on is starting to look absolutely fantastic. Just check this out. This is looking very promising indeed. I do hope you stick with this one, as this looks like the kind of game I would love to download and play sometime. And there we have it, end of part 1 for the RPG Maker tier list. It's been quite an eventful journey overall. We've looked at some good games, some okay games, and we've looked at quite a few shitty games, let's be honest right now. And who would have thought that the two most prominent critics of the RPG Maker world would end up creating two of the worst games in the world? It's ironic, isn't it? It really is food for thought. I think the takeaway from all this is that in life you'll always encounter people who will harshly criticise and judge your work. They will tear you apart without a second thought, even though they themselves can't create anything remotely as good as what you've made. And that's the reality of being a creator in general, really. You'll always have people that will try and knock you down. You'll always have people who think they know better than you, when in reality, when push comes to shove, they ain't got a clue what they're talking about. And I think that's the lesson for today. It's quite a simple one, really. Don't let a handful of opinions weigh you down too heavily. Be careful of whose advice you choose to listen to. So keep creating, keep getting better, and don't let anyone out there grind you down. Anyway, I think that's enough for me for today. I thank you all for watching, and if you want to see part 2, don't forget to give this video a like, a subscribe, and I'll see you all next time. Ta-ra.